Good day, sir. Alrighty, let's get right into it, into the weeds, as it were. Looking good as always, mate. Some juicy stuff this time because a real treat for a boy. I've got some front-on footage in crystal clear 4K clarity, so looking forward to that. Actually, it's thrown up a couple of things though, mate. While you're swinging away, I'll mention them that we'll broach. I think it's going to take some work between you and us to discuss how we intend to tackle it. I'll give you my thoughts and theory on it, but it's not one of those sort of, oh, your club face is pointing a little bit to the right or what have you. It's going to be a decision about how critical we feel it is to your ability to golf the ball, not important. Look at the likes of Jordan Spieth, poster children like Matt Wolf and things like that. You've got unorthodoxies, but impact conditions, Westwood being one of them. You wouldn't specifically set out to coach what some of these guys do. Idiosyncratic characteristic stuff that you would say, okay, could be improved upon, and maybe you could argue Jordan Spieth would win another major if he changed his hold or he did a few things differently. It's easy to speculate like that. It's easy to say, Ed, you change your swing and you'll shoot 65, but we know full well short game is a bit of a sort of not much maligned, but just we haven't had a chance to get your teeth into it fully this season. It's been something that touch and feel and maybe shot selection and just a couple too many duff shots. With the chipping, and obviously 6 3-putts recently, which I noticed from the KPIs. It's like a bag of rocks you've got to lug round, so that's not great. But, look, mate, what a workstation this is, coming around to the point. Really do like, going on record with this, really do like that little sort of 2.5 minutes where you'll hit me 3 or 4 swings and you'll feed back the numbers on camera. Take this in point. I know this swing. I'll almost be perfect on this, but you verbalized the data from the Mevo, and said that I think it was something like half a degree from the outside and a club face, also might have been 1 degree outside and then club face half a degree closed or something like that, and a generally straight shot that ended up 6 yards offline. So it's nice for me to be able to look at this swing and we can talk in terms of we know what the ball did. Obviously when I've looked at swings that you've hit on the range, a New Malden or whatever, which I think is I'm remembering it, or World of Golf, I've seen the ball flight, so I can kind of look at the footage and put 2 and 2 together and come up with the requisite 4. So I think that's some really important info there when we're hitting into a net, that you can tell me what the club was doing on a nano degree. Really useful, really gives great continuity and such other things that make us precise. So traditional review here. Let's see where the club travels. Not certain the camera angle is, looks a little bit like I'm viewing from slightly further left than maybe I have in the past, but then might just be the club is working a little bit deeper round you. I'm still shifting under, and I sort of wonder to myself, maybe we're a little bit stooped, maybe we're a little bit sort of this way, and as a result the arms are coming in towards the chest to restore balance, because we see a bit of travel across the chest. The left arm is across the chest there, but it's essentially on a very functional plane. You see the mass of the club is vertically balanced above middle of feet, ankles, minimal separation between forearms. This is good, Ed. Although I would highlight now, and we'll see this again later, pretty flat shoulder rotation. Might like to see the shoulders rotating on a steeper path. Curiously, if we stood you up a little bit taller and made a distinct effort to rotate on a slightly more steep path, if you think that, so your left shoulder would go down more under your chin. The angle of rotation would be a little bit more in keeping with the path of the swing. we might find that easier to put into play. Yeah, right knee looks to be braced from this angle. You know, hip rotation, we don't want to kind of completely block it off and, you know, sort of set your legs in concrete. I don't think that's healthy either. But I'm going to talk about that from the front on. So that's enough for now. I think it's pretty good. Let's double check in on the impact conditions. Club reasonably well on the right. Maybe could have a little bit more hip rotation at this point in a perfect world, which this is not. But then we go off into the forward swing. Club exiting. Entry is in this, from what I can tell from the line we've drawn here, is definitely from underneath the plane and exiting above, but we're still being reported that we're delivering a little bit of out to in there, which I'm going to talk to you about in a mo when we look at the front on. Alrighty, and here we go again. Iron swing on the left, front on juicy, front on footage, which not to be sniffed at. We've missed this, excuse me. All right, let's watch a little sort of slow-mo in full flow. All right, hugely similar sort of trends in the swing, both sides. Yes, I've wanted a more flex right knee piece to camera in a moment. I'll just talk about maybe a slightly uprated, tweaked drill, which I've been thinking about for you. So I'm going to give you options on that in a second. But for now, I feel maybe like we've got a handle on the fact that we don't want the chest facing the sky at the end of the backswing. Forget those angles, that's irrelevant. I'm just sort of indicating the fact that your chest will feel like it's pointing upwards. We want, and I'll overlay Johnny Rahm on this while I'm talking, and I'll overlap that, but chest more downwards and maintaining the forward bend to give stability and to just neaten and tidy up things in the backswing which are unnecessary. So, you know, quite a straightening right knee here and quite a flexing left knee here, so that gives us a sort of tall right side, curved right side appearance, almost like we're on our left foot at this point, which isn't really where we want to be. We don't want our weight shifting onto our lead foot, particularly. It's not necessary. We kind of want to stay in the same place, but again, it's not anything like destructive. I just feel like when we transition to our forward swing, it can make it difficult, is all I'm going to say on that. Now, this is where I'm kind of wanting to contemplate with you how we're going to tackle this, because you can see as we rotate into the forward swing, the upper body, the shoulders, sort of at this point, their rotation really slows and the arms sort of lift upwards and the left elbow exits hard backwards. It's even more obvious with a driver, so it must be something to do with the vigour. See there? So these few frames, we get to here, we've impacted, we've put pressure on the ball, and goodness knows you're good at doing that. But the arms are exiting and sort of hugging into the body and tucking around. And then the body sort of craves that sort of upright, more relaxed vertical spine position. Yes, I would agree, as you've suggested, we're hanging back on the right foot a little bit as you're concentrating on keeping right knee brace. So again, I've got encouragement for you on that. In a moment when we go to camera when I'm outside. So this sort of exit, and you'll see it in the driver where mass and force are greater still. Really like what you're doing there, mate. You know, right knee much more braced. You know, really look quite mean. Even the look on your face looks quite mean. Looks like you're going to batter it. Good, you know, I think ball position makes complete sense. Shaft with a gentle backward lean, sort of telegraphing what you're trying to do with it at impact. Head not getting nearer to the camera, and, you know, very strong trend when you look at the top boys. But again, here, just here, you know, look at the rate of rotation that's been happening. Rotation in the shoulders and upper body, upper thorax. And it sort of stops. You know, or the rate of rotation slows, but the left shoulder sort of clambering left elbow hoiking backwards, the left upper arm and side into the body. Now, you will see protagonists who sort of do similar things, but I'm more of a fan, if you're looking for in-to-out paths, I'm more of a fan of the radius of the swing staying wide and your left arm staying nearer its full length for longer into the forward swing. Have a look at Tommy, have a look at Adam Scott at this point, and you'll see the left arm is much longer and fuller, and you get a window or a gap. You can see a hole between the forearms in the forward swing. That's completely concealed there, as the hands have almost been pulled in towards the chest, and the left arm's rolled up the chest, and the left elbow and shoulder have sort of tugged out of the way. So it gives a very strong idiosyncrasy. And, I think that's to do with anatomy. I think it's to do with Ed being Ed, and I think Ed smashes it and can hit his 3-wood further than I can hit my driver. So, look, here, if you keep looking at this back, you can kind of see, not something I've felt confident focusing on because imagery and pictures have been slightly sort of concealed, and we've had patches of driving range paraphernalia in between us and our view. So when we're using this tool, I just think that it is, important to recognise that the arms have got to exit somehow, and if the rotation isn't permitting them to maintain radius, then they will inevitably fold away to prevent injury. So, I agree. Yeah, look, tougher to rotate hips and body consequently when you're sort of balancing on your back foot and there's, residual weight on there, but not impossible, because if you look at Victor Hovland and you look at Cam Smith, you look at Phil Mickelson back in the day, his right foot at this point would be flat on the ground, your heel is raised, and I think that, speaks to your best attempt to create mobility there. So your upper body relationship between hips and shoulders in the forward direction, don't know whether you've ever had that highlighted in your analysis that we did with Mike, whether he said that, in the forward direction that your shoulders and hips don't have a lot of mobility between them, and that's why the arms are folding away a little bit early. And that's, for me, what causes that sneaking back towards, a couple of degrees from the outside. We appear, if you draw an arbitrary line in there, we appear to be travelling from underneath significantly and to above on the way out. But if you imagine how that line, is a dotted line down the middle of a highway or a road, then, you can still be working across and under or to one side of that line, but going in a straight line, if you get what I mean. What I'm trying to describe is the fact that you can deliver the club towards the target a little bit inside out, a little bit outside in. But if you drew a stock line that was immovable, then the appearance is, if you think about how deep from underneath you're travelling, but you're only exiting from slightly above, there's a hint there that club is arcing quite hard. McIlroy's a great example, which is why I think sometimes he pulls off a massive rampant hook and can also block it miles right as well. But, with good hand action, good coordination, a lot of practice, you can make that work in spades. You really apply a lot of force there because it's, good sequencing in terms of force. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'm not going to waffle on, mate, because we've got stuff to do to the camera, so I'm going to jump outside and just corroborate what I'm thinking, and I'd like your feedback, pushback, and your thoughts, because obviously this is a team effort, mate. See you outside. Hello, dear chaps. Son's Club. I don't think I'm going to need a club for this one, surprisingly enough. But yes, haven't conscious now as I get out here that I didn't review any of the lovely pitching 75-yard shot footage that you sent me. Did watch it, of course, and did note that the stats say that you're doing rather nicely there in terms of your capacity, your ability. So keep doing what you're doing for the time being. I think I'll wait for another opportunity to discuss the pitching side, the scaled down shots in more depth. But for now, I think, the conundrum I mentioned in terms of how we deal with it, when you make your way into the forward swing, my contention is that you can see the rate of forward rotation slowing. So it's kind of slows down, and what happens is the arms we get to about here and the arms start to fold across. This lead arm sneaks away behind you, almost a little chicken wingy, and this trail arm, if you like, rolls up your chest that way. So we get this kind of, yeah, that kind of vibe. So as we come through that way. Now I think that's to do with flexibility and joints and sinews and tendons that we probably may never well get to look at, but if we look at the forward swing in the context of the radius is narrowing, if the radius is narrowing, the club's being dragged back across your body, okay, we're doing well to get deep enough that when we come through, the dragging back across effect is minimized, so we only get a couple of degrees outside, when if we delivered from this direction and pulled the club across as a characteristic sort of hallmark of your forward swing, then, you know, we'd be in worse trouble, you know, when it comes to shots that require a more neutral path. So, or, you know, our endeavors to create into out paths. We can always point the swing further right and the target, or relate the path more into out in relation to the target. So, you know, by pointing over here, your path is more into out relative to the target line. You can close the face and cause the ball to hook back as desired when you need that kind of shot. So you don't have to have a perennially into out path or even a neutral path. You could be a little bit fade path, if you like, out to in. Dustin Johnson's a protagonist for that, so it's not the end of the world. But as I say, that sort of slowing rate of shoulder rotation, and again, that might be to do with flexibility between shoulder region and hip region, like how far can this go before it can go no further. So we've got the hips leading better these days. We've got reasonable clearance when we look down the line. We're clearing reasonably well with right side on an impact. We're not doing horribly with that. But as I say, that rate of rotation slows around about this region, and then the arms collapse into, and you can see Tommy on the footage that I used as opposed to Charles, you can see that gap, that triangle shaped gap between my forearms. The lead arm stays at full length much more profoundly, and yeah, the club stays on path or is more inclined. You know, you would think if it was coming from low out to high, you would see the arms go out to their full length, but that requires the body to keep rotating to achieve that, because as soon as the body stops rotating, the arms will fold in and around. It's inevitable. There's no, you know, it's the exact way you do it is, you know, nuanced, is finesse or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, to make it work, your arms have got to fold away, otherwise you'll rupture your muscles in your left side. So we kind of know about this kind of thing. That's maybe why we get a little bit kind of this way and flicky, and, you know, there's that little bit of, you know, flip potential. So the way we'll handle it is finding a way between us to see if we can get more flexibility in these muscles, which will allow the body to continue to rotate. I can't see that we can do a great deal more in the footwork department, because we do see the trail heel lifting nicely, assisting that rotation here. But there's something going on there which I'm not certain I'm going to just be able to miraculously predict. It's quirky, it's idiosyncratic, but the theme is one I'm very, very familiar with. So yeah, your version of it, we'll have to sort of see if we can strive to see if we can create some swings where the radius of the swing, the arms go out to their full length, but keep rotating the body, keep feeling like the arms go out to their full length. See if you can rep a few times in front of the camera to get some of those vibes going on. Now, other thing we were obviously concerned with lately is trying to keep that sort of forward bend element into the backswing, so we get that lovely stability. So when we catch the mass of the club, or the sandbag as I tend to characterize it, you catch that sandbag and then you can launch it towards the target uninhibited. So it's the transition I'm worried about, not so much the fact that we don't get excessively this way these days. We're not excessively straight in the right leg. But a couple of quick ideas for you. What I would suggest is that you can go left foot back on tippy toe and just rotate, and you'll feel the way that right leg stays braced. So simple drill, tippy toe, left leg. So you've got a sort of conventional-ish stance arrangement. So I'll try and do this from where you can see me. Hopefully you can still hear what I'm saying. Tippy toe, and then you'll feel that right leg pressing into the ground. You'll feel like you're on your right side. Now on that point, we're not dwelling on that right side, trying to stay here and hit from there whatsoever. You know, this is a very brief moment where we're on our right side. You know, this is a kind of a fleeting moment where, you know, our legs are doing things which are consistent with allowing us to stay in the same place and rotate really hard both ways.
So again, we don't need this activated hard, we don't need this to straighten because it has the tendency to give us this appearance we're tipping this way. Mass is this way, we'll need to recover from that, and then we can get on with a forward swing, which is making it more complex and not as lean as we'd like it to be. So think of it this way and try this one out. Padre Harrington will love you for this. If you take your weight completely off your foot, as you ground it, it's pressing into the ground, you're keeping that right knee flexed. So ground it flexed, keep it flexed, rotate, ground it, flex it, rotate. You know, you can watch this back, of course, so you can gradually assimilate that. So ground it, stay flexed, rotate, and then get off it. Ground it, get off it. Ground it, get off it. Ground it, keep it flexed, get off it. Ground it, keep it flexed, get off it. Yeah, so that's the sort of rhythm we want to get going, because we don't want to be kind of on that, oh well, there I am, yeah, I'm keeping my right knee flexed, I'm on my right side, oh that was good, that was really, and then as you go forwards you're kind of, you know, stuck on that foot. So obviously we want to avoid that. So it's a kind of very fleeting thing, as I say. Ground it, keep it flexed, get off it. Ready? Crack on.